Hello and welcome to another podcast of M&H Breakfast Banter featuring myself, Ron Howard and Anita. I understand you're not too well today, Anita, and that I will have to do the heavy lifting.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm not keeping too well.
Not a very good idea to have a podcaster who can't speak, but anyway, you're here. And we have a very special guest today, Hamad Al Saad. He's going to talk to us about mental health and entrepreneurship. So, welcome, Hamad.
No, thank you.
Welcome, Hamad. So happy to have you here.
I have
Likewise.
a short introduction about you and about mental health. So, mental health is one of the most widely discussed subjects these days. Employees at work, children at school, homemakers, all of us apparently face mental health challenges
Sure.
from time to time. Newly established entrepreneurs obviously have a lot of mental health issues because they've got many challenges trying to open, build, and run a successful business. It's easy for a lot of people to advise such entrepreneurs to suck it up, accept it, and move on.
Sure.
And actually, that's the kind of background I come from, where if you had mental health issues, you were just told in a sports analogy to walk it off, right? There was no such thing as mental health issue in my day. It was just maybe you were bored, so you need to be occupied,
Yeah.
and then it will take your mind off it. So yeah, it's easy to say that, just get on with it. But they do say that this mental health can take a huge toll.
Sure.
So to discuss the subject more, today we have you, Hamad, a well-known business strategist, a well-being expert, and a huge advocate of mental health awareness. So that was pretty difficult to get through, but I've done it. Welcome, Hamad.
Thank you.
And I think this is where Anita will ask her one and only question.
Not one question.
Okay. Let's see
Yeah.
how your voice goes.
So, like Ron mentioned, that he comes from a time where mental health wasn't really something that people took seriously or were even aware of. I also come from a time where mental health was looked upon as a stigma,
Yeah.
as a form of weakness. And growing up, if anybody had mental health problems, then everybody would look at them very strangely.
Sure.
And they would want to stay away from such a person as if it would be contagious.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way from there, and it's been spoken of in a very different tone now. And I've heard a lot about how you advocate mental health awareness. And the moment we thought of this podcast, we thought of you. And that's the reason why we've invited you here today.
Thank you for having me.
So before we jump into this hot topic, let's just have a little background. How did you fall into all of this? What did you study? And,
All right.
a little bit of your background, basically.
First of all, thank you for having me. And yes, mental health is a very important subject for me. And that the purpose behind why I advocate about it is because of my personal experiences. How did I stumble upon this journey or this, let's say, path of health and well-being is due to my own personal struggles, challenges that I faced that kind of helped me understand myself, deal with it. And then I realized because nobody's dealing with it in that sense, I was like, you know what, let me be a solution to provide people the help, provide people the help they need. So it started off with nutrition because that's the first thing that I started off with. I was overweight and I started getting into shape with proper nutrition and exercise. Then I got more in depth into the whole aspect of, you know what, I'm eating well, training well, but still I don't feel quite good. That opened up the realm of mental health. I've realized I I was actually working from 9 to 5, and then going to study from 5 to 9,
Okay.
and then from like the last 2 hours is where I used to work out. So this got me in the dilemma of the hustler mentality, like, because that is what we knew: work hard, just keep the playtime late for later. And this is what got me to understand, what, there's an aspect of our life and our own health that if we don't pay attention to, eventually it will create unbalance.
Yeah.
This got me into kind of considering, what could I use right now that would help people through their mental health challenges with the skill set that I have. So I took another certification, which is food psychology. Okay, so that's the one of the certifications I have. And with it, I realized, okay, now I know about nutrition. I know like good, I know quite well about exercising. Now I know about the mental aspect of things. Then I studied health coaching and life coaching. Because, like with all these skills, you need to teach people the right life skills to be able to implement these matters.
Right.
So with that being said, I got into the whole aspect of the holistic approach, where I combine life coaching, health coaching, mental health modalities, personal training, and right now, as you mentioned, the business strategies, so that I kind of be full rounded and provide people the wholesome approach into well-being.
So it's a holistic approach then. It's not just mental health, it's training, nutrition, proper rest, and all the others that go with it.
Yes.
So what does a well-being expert actually do?
Okay. Let me talk about myself.
Yes, that's why you're here.
Yeah. How I like doing it, I categorize my services into 3 main categories.
Okay.
One is the well-being coaching, which involves life coaching, health coaching, and mental health modalities.
Okay.
Personal training, which kind of the physical aspect of things, and business coaching. So these are the 3 kind of categories I work with people. But it doesn't mean that I only, for say, focus on one area. But this is just so that we kind of lead the coaching in that direction. Yet I include whatever is needed based on the analogies and let's say how I analyze the person I work with, and with it we provide them the rest of the services that I actually provide.
Okay. So do you work for companies as groups, with groups of people, or individuals, or both?
That's a good question. I started off my business, which is the Nourishers, which is a marketplace where you could find any expert from the 7 pillars of well-being. So we defined all 7 pillars of well-being so that it provides the holistic approach. So it's like a holistic directory. With it, the byproduct is utilizing these experts to create well-being, corporate well-being programs. So we do work with schools, we do work with organizations. What we do is we have customized programs that is based on the company's outcomes. We kind of work with small businesses, medium and large businesses, where we kind of know their values, know their needs, know their outcomes related to the company's overall performance and the well-being of the employees. With it, we kind of put together a program that will suit the company's needs, and with it, they could, let's say, test out the results, and with it, they will see the outcomes and the result after implementing these programs as well.
And how do you measure your success?
Thank you. We have a pre-survey, let's say, or pre-assessment we do of everyone in the of the employees, and with it we know we have like a couple of parameters when it comes to their physical, nutritional, mental, like even social, related to their personal matters as well, personal life as well. So we kind of put, let's say, these parameters to kind of test out or give us a baseline where they are at this moment. We provide them with these programs that is going to help them within these areas, and with it we can tell, we have a post assessment as well to see the difference between where they were and where they are.
What's
today.
a typical project do you get with a corporate? Like, what do they ask you to do?
Okay. At first, team building.
Okay.
This is
So
the
we'd
most
say that,
common
yes.
thing that they go to. And lately only they were like, okay, once we sit down with them, we kind of work with them as consultants as well. We tell them, okay, why are you doing that? They're like, that's the common thing we do, because we already do the training. We already give them
The skills
the skills needed. But okay, well-being overall is a skill that the employee needs to take better care of themselves. The better the employee, the better the outcome of the company.
Yeah.
So this is where we kind of teach them, you know what, um, we want to introduce the corporate well-being into the market because it's relevantly new to our region as well.
Yes.
So this is where we've worked with a couple of organizations where we provide them workshops. We provided them in-house trainers that would help them, let's say, before the work hours start. We provide them with a couple of tools that they could do with their day-to-day activities within the working hours, so that they at least kind of manage and maintain the employees' well-being.
Here's Anita, works very hard, has multiple businesses. How would you know or be able to see whether she's on the verge of burnout?
First of all, I would say thank you for having me today. This is an example right now where she's putting her health, her health. She's putting it on side just to make sure that she does this show, which is I'm grateful for it. But at the end of the day, your health comes first.
Yeah, I know.
I think one of the main things that we don't realize is we don't listen to our bodies. And as you mentioned, when I woke up today, I was feeling kind of ill, but I didn't want to cancel the show. Even like you said it yourself. What if you listen to your body? You would have been at home taking rest, recovering, and maybe if we came up with on another day, you would show up in a better sense, right?
That is true.
This is an indication, as simple as listening to your body. As the most simple way that we could use is the analogy of a baby. You get to see like a baby crying, you run to aid him or aid her, no matter what. The minute you get to hear that the child crying, that's the human instinct that we have. We are always there to help others, to be there for others, but we never listen to ourselves. I wish we just turn the scope to ourselves, listen to our bodies, get to understand what is it that we're going through. Because if we don't, the indications that we like a kid will cry, but our body will break out into acne, illness, and sicknesses, is the indication of like, khalas, I gotten to a point. This is my breaking point. You're not paying attention. Here, let me break it down.
So it's a live example.
Learn to stop work and keep your personal life busy and separate.
So hard, It's like time is so precious. And every day, even one single day wasted is like you have a backlog of so many things.
I know.
And it's so difficult to catch up with all of that.
100%.
So sometimes that compromise happens, and I know that what I'm doing is absolutely not the right thing to do. But today it's just that if I postpone this, then we have a backlog, and it's it's never ending. So what I wanted to ask was, okay, so I'm a business owner, right? So if I want to start, let's say, a mental health awareness movement in my organization, what are the first steps that I need to take so that I get maximum from my employees, right? And to make sure they're happy to do their job.
100%.
Yeah.
First of all, could I start with you as a business owner?
Okay.
You need to lead this organization. Like, you are the example, first of all, right?
Right.
So one of the main things, I believe that time is very precious, but at the end of the day, without you, all these organizations are like, they're nothing.
It's
you're
irrelevant.
the heart and the soul of these businesses.
Right.
So the main thing, that the more you focus on yourself, the more you take better care of yourself, your mind is more able to provide and give and perform better. So the outcome of the business will get even better, right?
Yes.
So you lead by example. So that's one. Two, I would always recommend, like in life, unfortunately, we get to a point where we get busy, we get to a certain level of success, but at the end of the day, okay, like, oh, I reached to this point, let me see what I could do more and do more. So that the hustler mentality, which is something we grew up, understanding.
Correct.
The only thing I would recommend, if you get to a level of success, try to identify the areas where you could exchange the time or effort that you're putting for more time for myself.
Yes.
For example, you could have an assistant that would help you with a couple of matters where now you're able to afford it. She will take care of an assistant or a manager who will be able to kind of occupy the time that you could take for yourself right now. You got to that level where you can afford that.
Yes.
And there's nothing more important than your time, basically.
So rather doing everything myself and kind of occupying all 100% of my time, kind of delegate it in a way
100%.
where I get. But I also feel that self-care is not just a massage or a day at a spa anymore. It's a lot more than that. Just the other day, I follow Stephen Bartlett and a couple of other podcasters. And one very important takeaway that I got from one of those podcasts is that if you stop procrastinating, that itself, and you do things on time as they are supposed to be done, it actually takes a lot of load off your
100%.
mental health.
100%.
And that was such a big revelation for me, because I feel that a lot of times we just delay tasks and that keeps bogging us down, and that itself is such a huge load
100%.
on our heads. And that's when I started doing things before time.
Okay.
And that really helped me free a lot of my time, actually.
Yeah. Consider this, like, imagine like all these tasks that you have are small stones, like or pebbles, right? Imagine like you're carrying a bag, and every time you let go of stuff and carrying like you throw these pebbles in your backpack, by the time by let's say a month from now, how heavy this bag is going to be, right?
True.
So as you mentioned, like I totally believe in what you mentioned, but also I believe in utilizing our focus 100% at a given task, finish it, and then move on.
Yeah.
Like we keep on saying that we are multitaskers. With all due respect, you get better into focusing into different matters, 20 to 30% between, and jump around from one task to another.
I think that's easier for me because I was brought up when there was no social media, there was no WhatsApp. There was only television and books, so it was easier
These
to
are the
focus
golden
on
days.
One
something
task.
than
These
it is
are
today.
golden days.
We better cut there.
I think our breakfast is here. Now you can ask me that question.
I'm going to ask these strange two questions here, and they've obviously come from you.
Thank you. This is Caribou or New York coffee?
New York.
Okay.
We took a quick break there. You will see that the breakfast has arrived. We will talk more about that later. You carry on, please. That was an interesting question.
Yes, it was interesting. I mean, we just spoke about how the mental health and self-care needs to start with me as a business owner, and then it would percolate down to my employees, to my staff.
Yes.
And then how do they start then?
Okay. First of all, we touched upon like you taking care of yourself so that you lead by example.
Yeah.
Two, once you know the importance of it, you know the areas where you could provide your employees with the tools needed to be able to take care of themselves.
Correct.
One of the main things that we introduce to companies that we work with is mental health leaves, where they could literally, first of all, your employees, you know who's going to fake it or not.
Yes.
But this is the thing, like mental health leaves are dedicated to the days when you wake up, and I'm sure like we all feel that we wake up, but like we can't even pull ourselves out of bed sometimes, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of this kind of leaves is not something that will be justified with a sick leave that so it's a mental health leave where, Anita, I'm not feeling well today. I would be taking my mental health day off, like my today. This is where they would feel like, okay, if they can't perform there's no point of them going to the office and
Wasting
they're just
time.
wasting your time, and this
Yeah.
will reflect bad on them, right?
Yes.
So this is one of the things that we kind of introduce.
Hmm.
We educate people that movement and good nutrition is one of the key factors that build up your mental health and your physical health for better outcomes and performance. So this is the two things as well that you kind of focus on, which would lead them to feel good, like, and be able to withstand any pressure and that the workload might lead
Yes.
to them.
And
Ha-
that's a lifestyle change, right? I mean, to start moving better and to start eating better, that's a commitment for a
100%.
lifetime. It's not like, okay, I'm going through a bad phase right now, so I just
Yes.
look at it now, and then when I'm feeling better, I stop all of it. It doesn't work like that.
100%. 100%. We provide also we provide organizations with our partners provide meals and like healthier meals.
Okay.
This is something that at least in the workplace, instead of like snacking on anything, chocolates, because like when people are in the office,
Yeah.
they tend to forget to eat. And what they do, get me coffee, get me chocolates, they run to chocolate and coffee, and this is what they sustain their energy on,
Yeah,
which is
quick
not
fix.
like, it's not good.
Mhm.
But what if you provide, at least in the workplace, good snacks that would help them, at least nourish themselves while they're working, So this is something that maybe you could introduce.
Okay.
One of the key factors is having one-on-ones with your employees as well,
Yes.
to get to know, like, is there anything that we as an organization could help you because we value you?
Yes.
It could go from both ways. One is getting the company, like the employees, to feel like they're part of the company by telling them our whole, like, our vision, the mission, and the future plans and whatnot. But still, if you show this employee that I literally care about you, if there is anything that you might be going on that we might be able to support you, the better they are doing, even in their personal life, they won't bring that baggage into the workplace.
Completely agree.
So this is one of the also key factors that we need to touch upon as well.
Absolutely.
I have two questions.
Yes.
Do you work with athletes?
Yes.
These
I
are
enjoy working
elite
with
athletes who've reached the peak of their performance
Yes.
physically, and then you work on their mental state as well. Can
Yes.
you tell us about that, please?
I'm sure you've seen a couple of athletes who goes to competitions, and if you see the regimen that they're going through, the training before the competition, they do amazing. But when it comes to the competition day, it's like they are completely different people. They don't have the strength or the endurance or the stamina or the energy even to lift what they could have lifted, like, double the weight or what, so perform, perform better on their normal days. So this is one of the things that shows you that sometimes the mentality of an athlete could be crippled if they don't believe in themselves as well, or the pressure, like you're talking about an Olympic athlete.
Yes.
If they have their country to represent, that's a huge load.
Yes.
So this is where we work with the mental toughness. We work with athletes to help them to get as strong as they are physically, the same way that we focus on their mental aspect, so that they'll be as strong as they are mentally as well, to be able to perform as good.
I think the real top athletes are the ones who have the mental strength as well as the physical strength.
100%.
Sure.
Like one more thing I would like to add into that. You've seen most of the athletes, if the coach just invest in them the amount of belief that he knows you could perform better, and sometimes like even in the locker within let's say what they call them. Let's say within a round, like if it's a boxing match or like a football match, they finish the first what they call it, like halftime.
Yeah.
And like in the halftime, like he goes and speaks to the athletes. What happens is you get to see he builds their stamina up just by the words of encouragement. And the
Yes.
way that he kind of that's mental toughness. That's when he invests like his energy into showing them, I believe in you, I know that you guys have the ability to do better. and you get to see they change the ties, and they do so much better in the second part of the game,
Yes.
where and they from losing they become, like they end up winning. Like this is just a simple example, like live example of things that we've seen as well in real life.
My second question is, I'm a bit embarrassed to ask it, but
Okay.
it's obviously come from Anita here. Do you think that so first of all, this podcast is for SMEs, small, mid, yeah. Do you think that they would it would help them if they had happiness officers?
I'm a happiness officer. You could hire me. But that's the
Do
thing,
you call
you know.
yourself a happiness officer?
Again,
No.
I'll call myself a holistic
Yes.
expert that provide these kind of services maybe for entrepreneurs. But as an entrepreneur myself, I know how it feels, carrying the weight of the world on your shoulder and trying to make ends meet. You are the accountant, you are the sales, marketing, customer service. You do it all, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that we talked about just off the record earlier, where we kind of try to do everything we can ourselves. But we need to get to a point where if we can afford it, we need to delegate it, because it's just, if you take a bigger organization, the SMEs are the same, right? They have customer service, they have HR, they have sales. The problem is entrepreneurs try to do it all to cut the costs, because as a running cost, we cannot afford it.
Yes.
But what if you get, instead of hiring a full-time employee, find a virtual assistant who could be able to help in a certain matters? We're grateful even for, let's say, Temkeen, who kind of supports in these kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We
Great
can
support.
we
Yeah.
can even get interns. There's multiple ways of doing that, where we could delegate and be able to make more time for ourselves.
Yeah.
This is something that I think with the amount of time we have, a happiness officer, or let's say sometimes most companies hire a life coach in the organization.
Yeah.
But how would that life coach or a happiness officer be able to help if I'm giving you so much delegation and so much work that you won't be able to juggle around, doing it, So more or less, if you could break down the job, provide people a certain task, and they're able to kind of divide their work, where they can meet this officer or meet this life coach, be able to kind of vent, kind of get
Outlet.
an outlet, and eventually a downtime, basically. Downtime within the work, so that they don't feel so stressed out, and eventually come back and be able to work, right?
Yeah.
So
I prefer life coach to happiness officer.
What's wrong in a happiness office? Just a
It
title.
sounds too childish.
All the big organizations
Yeah.
now actually hire a proper happiness officer.
Should have a professional name. It sounds like
see,
some kind of clown, a happiness officer.
to be honest, like a happiness officer falls under the category of even
HR.
I feel like it's derived from the psychological field as well. I know a couple of happiness officers, happiness psychologists,
Okay.
who kind of maybe they fall under the same category. But I wanted to mention something regarding to happiness.
We can come back to it later.
Yeah.
But what about the different personas? I was very fascinated. We were talking just before the
Yes.
podcast started about how you attend to every, not a problem, but a situation or a
Yes.
challenge when it comes to people coming to you for help.
Yeah.
And you divide them into different personas and try and get them to, get better.
100%.
So how is that methodology work?
Okay, so I think this is one of the main things that we tend to kind of lose track of. The minute we grow up, we became after we finish school and university, straight away we kind of take our certificate and let's jump into the work in
Yes.
the corporate life, let's say.
Yeah.
we tend to forget our main persona, which is like ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And we become more focused onto the professional sense or that professional persona. And with that being said, we end up meeting our partner, and then we kind of have the professional and the kind of the spouse or the husband persona
Yeah.
that takes over as well. And then the children comes in, and then the father or the mother figure comes in, so you'll have the professional and the mother persona takes over. We kind of put ourselves last when it comes to these personas, but at the end of the day, every building has a foundation, and the foundation is us. We are like the main pillar. If we don't take care of ourselves, we won't be able to show up as a mother or father. We won't be able to show up as an employee, or let's say an employer as well.
Yeah.
So this is where we divide, like mainly I kind of divide them to three main categories. The self, or the main persona, or let's say the individual. You have the professional, and you have the social. The social, where it's because it could be divided into whoever you have in your life. So let's say if you're a mother, if you have just a partner, or let's say colleagues or friends, the more you divide it, the more you'll see like, okay, in these categories, which are the main areas that I don't focus on? And with it, you'll know that there are kind of needs within these personas. If they're not met, it creates unbalances, right? And this is where, if you just see it from this perspective, you'll be able to understand, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. There's an area of my life that needs more attention. Instead of just making it more catastrophic, that I'm going through like a breakdown, I'm stressed, I'm going through this anxiety of all, like, I don't know, I'm lost, and this kind of stuff. Eventually it might turn out because one area of your life is lacking attention. That is kind of creating imbalance in your life, and that by itself leads to the outcome that you feel.
I have a question for Ron, actually.
I'm not the guest.
I know, but your experience is very vital in terms of, so obviously it's not always been highs in your life, right? You have met with your own lows in life. So how did you manage it? Did you ever look at it like a mental health issue, or did you ever feel that, I'm really feeling low and I'm depressed? Did you ever feel like that in your life?
Oh yes, I did, but I didn't mind it because I knew when I was at a low, the only way was up. So I just let the time go by. And I think what I'm good at that you're not quite good at yet is dividing my life up. So if my work life was miserable, it didn't mean my home life was. Because when I got home, I would put the work life in a box, lock it up, and not worry about it till the next day. I think because you're so young, everything is all in
it's
one
all
together.
Overlapping.
But that's exactly, this defines what we just talked about. We kind of consider all these personas into one individual, and like this is where the mess happens. That's why I'm telling you, like, if you kind of do the I won't be able to pronounce it, the compartmentalization. Compartmentalization. This is where you be able to focus on each persona and give it the attention it
deserves.
needs.
Does that answer your question?
It does. I mean, I was expecting that answer of you, and I know that you usually take everything with a hot cup of tea and it solves everything for you.
This is definitely
this is literally his DP, you know that?
Nice.
On
WhatsApp.
Tea and my mental health shot.
But I would like to touch upon something that's interesting you mentioned. When you faced your lows, you said like, like the only way is up, right? But I'm sure even till today, this is the same thing. Mental health symptoms are not something that is recognizable. Even let's say whoever might be going through like a challenge, unless they're more aware of what mental health symptoms might be, they might be like, okay, maybe I'm going through a challenge right now. I could go and just maybe to a psychiatric or psychologist to at least make sure I am doing well.
Let me put that a different way then. I've not really come across anything in life that I haven't been able to handle. yet.
It's very tough.
But see, I believe in that, and one of my best verses from Al Quran, which is la yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha, which translates to God doesn't let you carry a burden that you cannot. God wouldn't give you a burden that you cannot carry, right? So this is one of the main things, that we are already equipped, but maybe we lack the skill to manage it as of for now. And this is where we might need support, or we need help. Let's say in your areas of your life, as Anita mentioned, you've done quite well for yourself. I'm sure you had mentors. I'm sure you had people that might help you develop these different areas.
Everybody has mentors, don't they?
You know,
starting with your parents.
100%.
Yes.
You know, exactly.
If you're lucky, not
You
everybody
never had a
has.
mentor in your work
I
life.
have amazing mentors. That is why I am where I am today.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And
But not everybody is lucky like that.
the only
That's what I'm
thing
saying.
is, why am I touching upon this? As human beings, we've always had someone we look up to or someone we go back to.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when it came to mental health right now, people are so afraid to go back to someone to get support. That's
Yeah.
the only area that I would say that people are still feel like it's a taboo, and it's a shame that we would go and ask for help.
Yeah.
Right now I see you you're not feeling well, but if you didn't show up, you might go to the doctor, and might let him prescribe you any kind of just Panadol or whatever you might need that would help you with what you're facing right now.
Right.
Mental health shouldn't be called mental. It's part of our health.
It is.
And this is where we might, if we remove that stigma and just call it health,
Yeah.
people should be able to freely go and ask for the support needed to be able to, just get over these challenges that they might be facing.
Absolutely. And this is a true story. One of my friends, and we were talking about therapy, and she's somebody who had to go undergo therapy in order to feel better. And thankfully, she was not given any medication, and just therapy itself helped her.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just talk therapy. It was something called EMDR, which is a lot of tapping and
Yes.
things like that. So, which I know Ron would make fun of, but
Yeah, here we go.
so
I've not made fun of anybody or anything, have I?
yes,
But,
in your own way. So she was just mentioning that literally all of us in today's times, we need a therapist on a retainer, so that you can go, you offload, and then you come back your best optimal self, back to your family, back to where you're working, and back to the society.
Yes.
To be
Is
that
it working?
it is working. It is working.
I think, first of all, this is where we touched upon earlier when you mentioned, is it truly that we all are going through mental health challenges? We all have undeveloped areas in our lives that kind of needs some sort of attention. We could have went through childhood traumas that kind of affect us today.
Yeah.
We have some sort of limiting beliefs that are affecting our life right now and the
Yeah.
way that we perform. We kind of have these traits. A mental health expert or a specialist or a therapist is meant to identify these areas
Yeah.
and be able to help you.
Yeah.
I 100% believe in that. Similar to if you kind of consider having a business coach right now, when it comes to your business, they'll tell you these are the areas of weaknesses in your organization.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to, this will get your company into the optimal performance.
Correct.
Similar to this is, if we only see it from this perspective,
Yeah.
we will understand there's no shame in it.
Yeah.
But because mental health is becoming a trend right now, everybody's like, oh, I went through depression, I am going through depression, it's becoming a trend.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, you're not from the cool kids,
Yeah.
But the problem is,
Yeah.
this itself might let others, consider they
Not
might,
take it seriously.
They don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend start off with finding or identifying the right people in your circle that you can at least as a start vent to.
Correct.
Because sometimes, because we live in our head, it gets to a point that we feel misunderstood, or we feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. That's why we kind of can't process matters.
Right.
If you find a space where you can vent and let out, like an outlet for you, you could reduce the mental capacity. Remember what I said, like you let off these mental capacity so that you can function better. If you can later on, if you find like this is not helpful, this is where you can lead yourself to finding the right support.
Correct.
This is where like I would only differentiate it from this aspect, because you don't want to straight away label yourself as
a mental health
and then
patient.
Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm mentally I'm going through this mental disorder, so that's it. They kind of just put like a roof over their head and like, this is who I am, I cannot go beyond this point.
Which is limiting and so not good a thing to do. But I think in today's times, and I think in the generation that we grew up in, we expect too much from ourselves. Too much. Otherwise, all these multiple businesses and all this ambition and then comparison with peers, all of that eventually does take a toll.
Sure.
And I think with age and little bit of wisdom from people like Ron, you can figure out.
I'm always kind of the opposite,
Yeah, he's a contrarian.
The example who's old school, who doesn't move with the times. I haven't got my own happiness officer.
He's his own happiness officer.
Having said that, I'm not belittling or
I know.
joking about his
really
work,
serious.
I'm particularly interested in it with the elite athletes and the PTSD and things like that.
Yes, absolutely. And like you said, some people genuinely need it.
Yes.
And the mental health professional can identify. And the ones that are on the periphery, even those can be identified by the mental health professional and be guided properly, as to how to manage your own expectations and not be bogged down by, how much you want out of your own self.
Yeah.
So I think but it's a good thing that we are talking about it. That is important.
Yes, definitely.
What is wrong, what is right, how to go about it. But at least we are talking.
Yes.
Right.
No, creating awareness is the first step.
Yes.
Hamad, whenever Anita is interested in the subject that we're talking about, she never stops talking.
My throat is
Isn't it, right? Can I? And I mean, I'd be very interested also. So can I ask what was for breakfast? Or what is for breakfast?
Today we ordered
Which you're already eating.
Yeah, I was just too hungry.
Over, by the way.
So we have chicken Caesar here.
And
we have cheese steak.
And there's a halloumi sandwich.
Sandwich.
There's stuffed croissant. And coffee and tea.
And where did we get that from?
From New York Coffee.
Via our
sponsor, UApp.
Yes, the UApp.
Yes, and they've been graciously agreed to sponsor our podcast, and very generously we've been ordering breakfast off the app. So thank you, UApp. And
thank you very much, UApp.
And it's super easy to use. If you have not downloaded UApp, I strongly urge you to do. They have the best flowers. Yes, I've been ordering flowers so regularly. So off topic, but I'm just telling you my experience of using the app.
My experience with them is their customer service.
Okay, that's feedback.
This is one of the main things I would tell you. For me, I would like to use an application where I feel like appreciated, respected. If there is something going on, there's someone in the end of under the line that would kind of support you, without discriminating anyone else. But I would say this is one of the most beautiful value proposition that they have is they're putting their customers first.
Very nice.
And I think I've had the best experience with them when I'm ordering flowers, because everywhere else flowers are very expensive, and I'm someone who likes to order flowers home, and I've been regularly ordering off them because they have the wholesale guys on, so they have a different price point. And I think if your wife or you want to give someone flowers, they are the app to go for. And of course, food is something that's obviously there.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Hamad. It's
You're most
been very,
welcome.
absolutely very interesting today.
Yes,
I've
it's
learnt
been
a
a
lot.
good conversation.
Perhaps you could tell the world where they can find M&H Breakfast
yes.
Banter.
So, thank you for watching this episode, and you can obviously follow us on Instagram at mhconsultants_Bahrain. We regularly post our updates on podcasts and guests over there. And continue to subscribe and to support us on YouTube at MH Consultants. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, Hamad. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamad.
Thank you for having me.
Cut.